Okay, we're going to take a look at our Chapter 2, page 7 notes. We're going to talk about Java operators and operands first. We're going to get into some Java math. And so the first thing is that, now you got to keep in mind that Java arithmetic has some differences from the normal everyday arithmetic. So there's what we call arithmetic operators, and that would be the plus sign, the minus sign, the multiplication, well, the asterisk, and then the slash, and then the percent sign. Now this plus sign is called the addition operator. Then you have the subtraction operator, multiplication operator, division operator, and then this percent sign is called the modulus, M-O-D-U-L-U-S, modulus, or remainder operator. It's a modulus operator, or you could call it a remainder operator. We'll find out about that later on. Operands is a word that we're going to be using. We're not going to be using words like subtrahends, addends, minuends, divisors, dividends. We're not going to be using those. They're all going to be used the same, all going to have the same word. So operands are values on either side of an operator. Okay, of any operator, if you have the values on either side are going to call operands. It doesn't matter what the operator is, whether it's division, multiplication, or modulus, it doesn't matter. So why are 8 and 2 called operands? Well, because you have the addition operator, and on one side of it is 8, that's an operand, on the other side is 2. So they are operands because they're on either side of the addition operator. Implied calculation. This is a word you're going to want to get used to because we're going to use this term quite a bit. Implied. You need to understand what this is. If the operands are the same data type, the result is implied to be the common data type. Okay, so if they're the same data type, the result is implied to be the common data type. So an example, if you have an int and you multiply it by an int, well, they're both ints, so the result is going to be an int. And then you have a double plus a double, and so the result will be a double. Now that goes for int plus int, modulus int divided by, it doesn't matter what the operation is. If the operands are the same size or data type, then the result will be the data type that is common to both. So, example would be a 3 is an int times a 2 is an int, so that's going to result in a 6, which is an int. And you might think, well, that's easy. Well, it's going to be a little more complicated as time goes on. And so some of you will actually forget this as we go on, or as we do other things in the next days ahead. So, division is tricky. Yes, I said tricky. Division is tricky. And why did it go back? So, here's what happens. Implied calculation says that an int divided by an int must be an int. Well, you go, what? Yeah, duh. Well, watch this. Therefore, what is 14 divided by 3? So maybe you want to pause this and come up with the answer. But it's amazing how many people miss this after we've said implied calculation says that an int divided by an int is an int. And so, if you said that 14 divided by 3 is 4.667 or 4.6 repeating, then that is incorrect, because an int, if 4.667 is not an int. This is a double. It's a decimal. So 14 divided by 3, this is an int, this is an int, the answer must be an int. It can't be 4.6667. Well, so here's what you do. You take the decimal and you cut it off. You just chop it right off. And what are you left with? You're left with a 4. Here's what happens. Java truncates Truncates. Java truncates the decimal because it is implied that the result of an int divided by an int must be an int. Okay, so hopefully that seems easy enough, but maybe some of you are squirming because that just doesn't make sense. And it is different, but a 14 divided by 3 in Java language is 4. And Java truncates the decimal. It truncates means to cut off. If you can imagine putting something in that in a trunk and it's hanging out part way, and you close the trunk hard enough to chop off whatever it was that you put in there, that's a good way to remember. Truncate means to cut off or to chop off. And so we're chopping off the decimal in this kind of situation. Now, if you go on, implied calculation says that a double divided by double has to be a double. So if you have a decimal and you're divided by a decimal, the answer has to be a decimal. It can't be like a 3 or a 7. And so we can't write 14 divided by 3. We have to have a 14.0, which is a double, a decimal, divided by 3.0. You notice that these have the same values. All right? 14 divided by 3 is the same value in our normal math. And so why aren't they the same? Because of implied calculation. So 14 divided by 3 is 4, and then 14.0 divided by 3.0 is 4.6667, or 4.6 repeating, something like that. All right, so that is that. Okay, this is also tricky. The percent sign, which is called the modulus operator, or the remainder operator, is what we're going to look at next. Now here's what happens. 7 percent sign 3 is read 7 modulus 3. Okay, you see the word right up here. It's 7 modulus 3. Or it's 7 mod, M-O-D. So some people will say mod, and some people will say modulus. It's just like saying 7 plus 3, 7 minus 3, 7 divided by 3. It's 7 modulus 3, or 7 mod 3. So don't ever say 7% sign 3, because that doesn't mean anything. Okay, 7 modulus 3 returns the remainder. That's why it's called the remainder operator. It returns the remainder when 7 is divided by 3. And so how does that work? So if we take, let's see if I get this in here. If I take 7 and I divide it by 3, okay, 3 goes into 7 2 times. If you don't know how to do this, you better learn right now, because you're going to have to be able to do this or it's going to throw you off. What is 2? Then you go 2 times 3 is 6. And then the next thing you do is subtraction. I hope everybody knows how to do this. And then we're done. There's a decimal here, but we're not doing decimals, so we're going to do remainder. What is the remainder? It is 1. So you have two numbers. 7 divided by 3 is equal to 2, remainder 1. So what is it? Is it 2? Is it 1? Or is it 2, remainder 1? Well, 7 modulus 3 returns the remainder. It returns the remainder. So it returns a 1. You may think, oh, that's weird. Why would you ever do that? Believe me, there's plenty of times where you will want to do this, and we'll actually have this later on. Okay, let's go on to, well, let's just give another example. What is, see if you can do this. What is 14 modulus 3? Okay, so go ahead and try it. 14 divided by 3 is 4 remainder 2. And so it returns the remainder, so it's 2. Alright, that's how it goes. If you have any questions about this, come on in. I'll give you 25,000 problems so that you'll remember. Not really, but I'll give you some. Okay, what about 3 divided by 7? Now that's brutal. This is going to stump some people here. So 3 divided by 7. Go ahead and pause this if you want, and then try it. But I'm going to show you right here. So now you go 3 divided by 7. Now, some people are going to put 7 inside and 3 on the outside because, no, you don't want to put the bigger number on the outside. But, yes, that's how you read it. So, if up here it says 7 divided by 3, and you start on the inside, go 7, and divided by 3. You read it from right to left. Well, you do the same thing here. It's 3 divided by 7. You start inside, work out. You got to remember that, or it's going to cause problems. And so 7 goes into 3, and here's the decimal point. How many times? Well, it doesn't go 1, because that's too high. So you have to say 0. It goes in 0 times. 0, then you multiply, just like you do up here. This is the same thing, but it throws people off. 0 times 7 is 0. And then you subtract, just like you did up here, 7 minus 6. And so it's 3 minus 0 is 3. All right, here's the decimal point, but we're not doing decimals because we're dealing with modulus here. And so we're going to go remainder 3. So 3, I did this wrong. This is supposed to say, what about 3 modulus 7? Rats. Okay, 3 modulus 7. Well, let's just go ahead and do 3 divided by 7. 3 divided by 7, this is good. 3 divided by 7, an int divided by an int has to be an int, and so it equals 0. So we'll go ahead and do that. But now throw on there 3 modulus 7. What is 3 modulus 7? Well, that equals the remainder of 3 divided by 7, and that would be 3. Now some of you are going to see that whenever you do this, whatever this number is right here is going to be, if this is smaller than this one, this will always be the result because it's going to have 0 and then it's going to subtract it and always end up with this number inside. Some people will catch that. Okay, we're going to stop on this one and go on. There's another video following this. So there'll be a part 2, which will be showing in just a second.